So this is a travel vlog from when I went to New York City this year. It all started back in January 2019. My brother mentioned that he wanted to go to New York this summer. He had just had a baby and he wanted to bring his baby and my nephew up to go see my grandmother who lives in New York. So that was his whole plan. My other brother decided he was gonna go too. He was gonna rent a car and they were gonna stay in the same apartment. And I'm like, well heck, if y'all are going to New York, bring me with you. I wanna go. I've always wanted to go to New York since I was a little girl. I did go when I was 6 years old, but I don't really remember the city from being 6 to being 20. I don't remember the city. So I started saving up money. And then my brother, Ryan, he planned the whole thing. He booked us the apartment, which actually my uncle, I think it was. Yeah, my uncle stayed at before on my dad's side. He's actually stayed at that apartment before, and it's like a 3-bedroom apartment in Newark, New Jersey. And my other brother, who I was going to be riding with, he planned the rental. So basically everything was planned. I just had to put my share in and pack. So, and then get mentally ready to go to New York. So I was like super excited, and it came down to the day that we left, which was June 5th. We left at 6 p.m. My sister actually came with us. So in one vehicle, it was my brother Ryan, his wife, and his 2 kids, one being the baby. In the other vehicle, it was my brother David, me, and my sister. Me and David were the ones going to be doing most of the driving, mainly me. We're gonna get to that later. So we started driving on June 5th. My brother drove us out of Florida, or almost out of Florida. He stopped about 2 hours before we got out of Florida. We switched. I drove through Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and then I stopped halfway through North Carolina and he took over. We were going to stop in Richmond, Virginia, so he just had to get to Virginia. He actually got pulled over in Virginia. So he drove us into Virginia, then got pulled over, and I only slept for like 30 minutes, maybe an hour, before he got pulled over. And then he got pulled over, and they're like, "Ma'am, do you have a license?" And I'm like, "Yep." And he's like, the cop was like, "You guys are gonna have to switch spots. You're gonna have to drive." And I said, okay. I had just drove like 8 freaking hours, or no, yeah, 8 hours or something like that. I was tired and I only slept like 30 minutes, and it was like a 13-hour drive just to Virginia. So I was up the whole time. I never slept. I slept like 30 minutes when he was driving into Virginia, and then he got pulled over and I had to continue driving. So there goes my sleeping. I got us to Virginia. We were there we got there really early on June 6th. We got breakfast together. Then we checked into the hotel because the hotel was kind of like, you can't check until a certain time, so we had to wait. Later that evening, I still haven't slept yet. And so later that evening, me and my sister went and met up with a family friend that actually lives in Virginia, Roseanne, my mom's friend. And it was so nice just to meet her. Here's a picture. It was so nice to meet Roseanne. Just meeting someone that grew up with your mom is it's weird, but it's very interesting. So that was really nice. And then me and Sarah got something to eat, and then I came back home and back to the hotel and actually went to sleep. We woke up the next morning and we started driving to New Jersey. We did stop in Washington. We were only going to stop for like an hour. My brother had to stop at a store, but we ended up being in Washington for 4. Washington is horrible. I do not recommend driving in Washington or Maryland or in Virginia because the traffic is just so bad, and nobody cares. They just want to get to their destination, so everyone's very rude on the road. But when we got close to New Jersey, we were in Pennsylvania. An actual little funny story. I was driving down the 2-lane highway, and my brother was in the passenger seat and my sister was in the back, and there was this truck in front of me, and I went to go past this truck because he was going quite slow. So I went to go past him. As soon as I switch lanes, he floors it. He did this 4 times. I had to keep getting behind him because there was always another car in the way. And so I'd get behind him again, try to pass him, get behind him again, try to pass him. He did this 4 times. He's messing with me for 4 times. And then I noticed he's going to get off the highway. And I'm like, oh my goodness, thank goodness. And I started speeding up because I was just ready to go. And my brother's like, I should wave at him. Because they were both, my brother and my sister were just laughing at the fact that this guy was just messing with me and pissing me off and making me angry. And as my brother goes to roll down the window to wave bye to him, he is already waving at us. Like, bitch, I knew what I was doing. I knew I was messing with you. And I got so mad. Road rage was real, people. I was so angry. We finally made it to New Jersey. We got to our apartment around 10 p.m. Our car got there later than my other brother and his family. So they were already headed to my grandmother's. So we quickly dropped our stuff. I changed because I knew, I just had a feeling, you know, our first night in New York was not going to be a short little trip. So I changed. I actually wore heels, not the smartest move. So I changed, my sister changed, we went to my grandmother's. We hung out with my grandmother, I got to meet her. Here's a picture, here's a video. Riley. David, don't look away from me. And their baby.
Yeah, I'm saying
I usually last a week or a couple of weeks, so I'm probably
Look at your face. He's so pretty. Oh, you broke my nose. After we hung out with my grandmother, my dad joined us, and my brother and his family went back to the apartment because they were tired. Me, David, my brother, my sister, Sarah, and my dad, we decided we were going to go to Times Square. You know, why not experience the city? City never sleeps. It seriously does not ever sleep. So we went to Times Square, looked around for a bit, and then we parted ways. Me and my brother David wanted to check out some clubs. Here's a video of the club. It was poppin', I'm not gonna lie. They played that song in New York, concrete jungle. That was funny. I loved how convenient that was, like my first night there, and how, you know, they just happened to play that song. It was kind of lame because he's not a dancing person and I'm used to dancing with friends, so he just sat at the bar and it was like, okay, this is kind of lame. I mean, the energy level was awesome, but I'm like, maybe let's revisit this another day. So we left, met back up with my dad and my sister, dropped my dad off. It was like 3 a.m. We got back to New Jersey around 4. We stopped by Walmart to get some groceries because we were going to be in New Jersey for a long time, so we needed groceries for the apartment. And I didn't get to sleep till 6 a.m. And then when I woke up, I found out that they were having a block party. The neighborhood that we were staying in, which my brother thought was sketchy, it's not sketchy. He just had a bad experience our first night. Some guy tried to get money off him and it was kind of like a little sketch. But he was talking about how the neighborhood would be sketchy. It is not sketchy at all. The neighbors were so nice, and we're not from there. We just happened to be there when their block party was happening. Their block party was for the kids getting out of school, and it was also for this guy's birthday. So there was a lot happening. It was so nice. They were so sweet. They had a bounce house. They had like food, drinks, everything set up. They were playing music. You know, people were doing hookah, they had drinks, they had whatever you wanted, had it. They were so nice, so sweet, so welcoming. I really do appreciate and miss that neighborhood so much. They didn't have to include us. They could have just been like, you know, y'all keep to yourself. But no, they chose to include us. They chose to make us feel welcome. And I really did appreciate that. So that was June 8th, was the block party. So on June 9th, the day after the block party, we went to Central Park. It was hard finding parking at first. We parked at like 92nd Street. We entered in like that end of the Central Park. We walked around that whole park trying to get to the zoo. Never made it to the zoo. That park, it's so pretty. Here's some clips.
So I think we're right here, right? It's a straight fly in. How can we play?
I'm so sorry. She's like, it's so bright. Push off with one foot. Push off and then hop your other foot on. Woo! Look at you. You did it. It's so pretty, but it's massive. And then you do a lot of walking, especially if you get lost like we did. So we got lost in the park, which wasn't bad, but we did walk a ton. And so we came out at like 72nd Street after walking miles already, and then had to walk like 20 blocks back to 93rd to get to our car. So that wasn't fun. After the park, we went and got pizza, and then we went to another one of my family friends, my mom's friend, Scotty. We went to her house. Her apartment was so beautiful. It overlooked the Hudson River and the Empire State Building. Oh my goodness. She had these antique masks on the wall. I don't know if I'll insert any videos or clips. Courtney. You guys have a nice view.
Yeah, there you can see the river there.
Hudson River.
It's the Hudson River. And then you can look over this way. Well, you see those big tall buildings there? That's
Yeah.
where the mall is. That's where we'll be going on the High Line we'll walk to the mall. And then you can see the Empire State Building.
I see it.
Sorry, she likes you.
And it was in an artist building. She lives in an apartment complex with many other artists. So I just felt so welcome, and I just felt so at home in that apartment. It was just so beautiful. My sister actually stayed the night with her, and then me and my brother went back to the apartments. The next day on June 10th, my brother he decided to go take the train into New York. So it was just me by myself driving. I had my nephew in the car with me. Me and him were in one car, and then my brother, his wife, and the baby were in another car. We decided to stay in New Jersey. We had our share of New York the other day, and we were like, let's just stay in New Jersey. So we took a trip to go to my mom's childhood home on her birthday. And let me tell you, just being at her childhood home on her birthday just felt so special. And it was just like I was there at the right time, the right place at the right time, and it just felt so special being there, just seeing where she grew up. And it was just like so nice to just, be in her hometown, Englewood, New Jersey. It's kind of a wealthy town, but it's really beautiful. The sights are amazing. We actually stopped and got something to eat, and then we went back to the apartment, met up with my sister and my brother. Later that night, we actually had our first meal in the apartment. I'll insert a picture. We made pasta and meatballs, and I have a little video of me cooking and just showing the kitchen and stuff. Everything's cooking. And then we also have like some goodies, just a little, kitchen tour of what we have. We also got cereal. And our apartment's really cute. Like, it's kind of like the laundry room's back here, but besides that, it's really nice. Like, we just did the dishes too. Your girl can cook and clean. And then our fridge full of tons of water, because like I cannot go any days without water. I probably drank in a whole case, let alone to myself. And there's pizzas because we've been out eating all the time. There's nothing in there but vegetables. But yeah, First home cooked meal. Look, everything's so.
I'll carry her in my lap. Hey, put her on that chair. No.
I didn't get a video of the whole apartment. I'm sorry. I did want to include that, but we were just living it up. We made that place our home for the, what was it, 8 days we were in New Jersey. So it was kind of messy, but like we kept it clean. So I didn't really show much of that. On June 11th, we saw Chinatown. I once again drove, I think my sister wasn't actually with us in Chinatown. My sister was getting her hair done with my dad. She wanted to get her hair done, so my dad took her to get her hair done. So it was just me and my nephew in Chinatown. See this? Chinatown with Riley. We met up with my brother, his wife, and the baby. And my other brother was at a skate shop or whatever. So after Chinatown, we went to Times Square, met up with my brother David, my dad, my sister. We're in Times Square. I'm in Times Square.
Take a picture there.
Oh,
We're missing David, right?
snap.
Oh, no, seriously.
Oh, snap. Damn. Thought I was a look.
That's great. It looks really nice.
She got a look. Look at all this hair. You look at Elise.
Oh, wow.
He's so cute.
We're getting her some peas. Everybody knows that, Dad.
No, I'm just
I
telling
told him I was getting extensions. Right. What?
When she takes it out,
So
her real
weird. Guys, look how hard he's smiling. No. Riley, you could relax your face. Riley. We walked around a bit. We got to see like the Disney store. We went shopping a bit. I think later that night we actually went to Five Guys. I think I have a video of me and my nephew on Snap. It's so weird.
Haven't you guys gone?
Oh my god.
The girls because
I get a lovely job.
We did go to Five Guys that night, and then we finally went back home. On June 12th, which was the next day, me and my sister went to Brooklyn, New York. I told myself that if I go to New York, the one place I want to go to is Brooklyn. Because one, it's Brooklyn. Two, it's summertime. And what has been my favorite song for literally a year now? Well, maybe not a year. I don't know if that song's that. My favorite song is literally Brooklyn in the Summer. And I think it's by Alec Blackman or something like that. I'll put it right here. Brooklyn in the Summer is literally my favorite song. I would include it, but it's copyrighted. And I was like, I am going to Brooklyn this summer. This is gonna be so lit. I was just so excited. And I was just like, I was glad. So we went to Coney Island. My sister actually wanted to meet up with a friend of hers that lives in New York. So we met up with her friend, hung out in Coney Island. She got to ride a bunch of rides on the little thing, like the little attraction thing they have at Coney Island. And we walked on the beach a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to include any clips or whatever. You guys, it's so windy out. Just to go in this water, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm finna just walk in fully dressed. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just gonna put my feet in. Look at them waves. Damn, it's freezing up here. It is so cold. It's freezing. I'm finna Back up. No, ma'am. Do not freeze my toes. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so that was June 12th. June 13th, we decided to stay in New Jersey. My brother, his wife, and the baby and my nephew, they went to New York. They went and saw the Nintendo store, I think it was. The Nintendo store. Pretty sure that's what it was. Me, my brother David, and Sarah, we decided to go check out this festival that was actually happening in Englewood, New Jersey. My mom sent us a picture and she was like, you should check it out, go to it. We got there, it was so lame. It was so lame. But we got there, we checked it out for a bit. I actually got a henna tattoo. I met some cool people and I was actually really excited. We had fun, even though it was like nothing was popping. It wasn't like a poppin' festival. It was really small because it's not like a big town. I don't think a lot of people knew about the festival. So it wasn't quite busy. So after the festival, we actually went and saw my mom's childhood home again. This time, my sister and my brother David, they both got to see it, and I got my sister to take a picture in front of the house as well. So that's what me and my brother did to send to my mom. So she got to see the house, and we drove around Englewood for a bit, and then we went home back to the apartment. June 14th, the next day, was our last day in New York City. I told myself, because I was doing, for the past, what was it, 5-6 days, I was doing all the driving in New York, and let me tell you, do not drive. So freaking stupid. Just right in the middle, just in between 2 lanes. Do not drive in New York City.
Not just their driving or the traffic or the parking, it's like everything.
Take the subway, do whatever you want, just don't drive. Because the traffic is so hard. You have to be aggressive and patient. It's stressful. Just popping in to let you guys know that those scenic pretty views is not a real depiction of how bad the New York City traffic is. Across the bridges, it's just fine, but when you get into the city, you don't want to drive. I can't stress this enough. If you're going to New York City, just take my freaking word and don't drive. Just don't do it. My brother was driving. I told him, drop me and Sarah off at the World Trade Center, or as close as you can get to the World Trade Center, because I wanted to see the World Trade Center and the Empire State Building before we left New York, because that's like the main attractions that everyone, besides, you know, the Statue of Liberty, which I didn't really care to see. So we got dropped off at the World Trade Center. It was so beautiful. A little thing that happened was one of the fountains, my sister didn't really know, you know, she's young. She's younger than me. She doesn't understand the history behind those fountains. She doesn't understand, you know, the fact that so many people died that day, and that it's just very, you know, it's a very personal to a lot of people. And so one of the guys that were, you know, keeping an eye on the fountains, make sure nobody puts their jacket on the names or anything like that. My sister had put her jacket on the names, and he was screaming at her, like yelling at her from afar, saying, ma'am, 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 take your jacket off the thing, take your jacket off the thing. She was just taking a video, she wasn't paying attention. I was like, Sarah, get your jacket off the fountain. And I apologized to the guy. And then I told Sarah, I'm like, you can't do this. This is a memorial. You have to be careful with what you do around here. You know, a lot of people died. It's a very personal thing. It's something that happened. It's like, you know, it's... So, but the fountains were so beautiful. It was like, the water looked like glitter. It was just so beautiful. And I do have a video. It was just such a beautiful place to see. The World Trade Center, actually, the mall is huge. and it was just so nice to be there, just to look at all the places, because we love going to the mall. So that's what we did. After the World Trade Center, me and my sister took the subway. Whoa. My sister wanted to go to this cafe that she went to with Scotty, my mom's friend. So we took the subway, got lost. Don't mind us, just getting lost on the subway and having to backtrack. Which sucks. So fun, right? But we made it to the cafe. We ate. Before we got to the cafe though, we passed by Stonewall.
Pride Month and like what it means to the community. And you guys have like 5 minutes to maybe ask
and Gay Street during Pride Month, and everything everywhere was covered in rainbows, and I just felt so welcomed, and it was just so beautiful just being surrounded by, you know, so many people that know the history. I didn't know the history of Stonewall. After my trip, I saw it on Snapchat and I noticed that building. I recognized it. I'm like, wait, I've been there before. Looked back at my pictures and realized I was in front of Stonewall. And I'm like, how iconic to be in front of Stonewall during Pride Month. Like, that's just crazy to me. After that, we got lost again trying to meet up with my brother at Times Square. Once we got to Times Square, we met up with my brother David. And my other brother was already at my grandmother's, so we hopped in the car, went straight to my grandmother's house, spent our last few moments in New York City with her and my dad. We ate some pizza that was actually the size of my freaking head. Oh my god, that's one slice of pizza. We got 6. Oh
We got
my
like
god.
a bunch of Pepsi, so if you want a Pepsi, take it. Just be careful. Over on the thing,
slice
and we
of
got
pizza.
some napkins there.
Oh my god. I
She's
want
like,
this
I'm gonna
one.
take a picture of the-
I'm gonna get.
Pipes bust. I just go out there and fix the pipes.
I'm too
And I go to my
tired.
next door neighbor and I'm like, I gotta turn off your water.
That pizza was so good. One slice literally filled me. We had pizza. My brother actually got my grandmother to laugh so hard. My sister was complaining that her stomach hurt, so my dad was like, are you on your monthly? And she goes, no. And then my brother David jokingly says, Sarah, you pregnant? And then my grandma just out of the blue, everyone was silent because we were just about to laugh. She just burst out into laughter, and it was so, her chuckle was so loud. Oh my goodness. It was so funny because like we didn't really hear her laugh much. Like we didn't even know if she would have, like if she would get the joke, but she just started laughing, and then all of us were laughing, and it was just so good. And just saying goodbye, just being able to visit my grandma just felt really nice because the last time I saw her was back in 2011, and I was much younger. I barely, you know, remember what she looked like at the time. So getting to see her again and spend some time with her just felt really nice. And so we said goodbye and we headed back to the apartment. We woke up the next day on June 15th and we headed home. And man, was I excited. I was excited to go home just because I was kind of tired. New York City does drain you out, especially if you're driving. Just don't do it, man. As long as you don't drive, you'll have a blast. And it's better to be on your feet and to walk around and experience New York City. You guys, the walls are so pretty.
Don't forget to get Lane's face down.
I got her face. Oh my gosh, it's so cute though. Wait for this wall though. It's my favorite. Everyone's different and everyone's the same. Cute. It's just worth walking around And $2.50 is very cheap compared to a full tank of gas, because your destination could be literally 5 minutes away and it will still take you 30 minutes to an hour to get there just because of how bad that traffic is. I'm just gonna let you know. That is how New York traffic is. And just all the traffic up north, the only way I can describe the traffic in general up north is you could be going 40 miles an hour and it will feel like you're going 100 or something because of all the twists and turns, and the cars are so close to each other. It can be scary driving around up there. I'm used to driving, even though I've only been driving for like 3 years. I'm very comfortable driving, so I was able to handle it. My brother didn't want to do any of the driving, so I did all the driving up in New Jersey and New York. But the last day I did make him drive, and probably the best day there, besides seeing my mom's house and everything. But on June 15th, we did head home. The drive home was 20 hours. I drove 14 hours straight. Didn't sleep. I think I did sleep 30 minutes. But I did figure out cruise control, so my whole right side wasn't aching like it was on the way there. So that was good. That was a positive. And then on June 16th, we got back to Florida, and just seeing that welcome to Florida sign felt so nice. Being back in the state that I know the laws, the driving laws. I know I can go 100 down the highway and not get pulled over. Just being back in Florida, I can handle Florida traffic. I love it. Up north, hate it. Florida, I just felt so at ease being home back in my state where I love it so much. Did not miss the heat though. You know, I told myself, and I had to talk with Florida. I'm like, look, Florida, you need to cool down by the time I get back. Did Florida listen to me? No. No, it didn't. That was my travel vlog to New York City. So if you want to see more or see a story time, because something did happen in Washington, it was a bad experience, I might do a story time on it. If you want to hear about it, you better comment down below. Tell me what you liked. Tell me if you liked any of my videos, pictures, if you liked my story, if you liked my travel vlog in general. If you want to see more from me, let me know. As always, bye!